Hello classmates, my name is Anthony Sanchez-Ayra and today I'll be presenting on the ethical implications of ethical hacking. Before we continue our presentation, let's watch this video to understand the role of hacking in our current society and the many different ways it manifests itself.
Which of these people is most like a hacker? A burglar, a vandal, an inventor, or a spy? The answer completely depends on whom you ask, because the word hacker has taken on all of these meanings and more over the years. But it's the wrong question. It's like asking, is a chisel something you use to break into safes, to deface buildings, or to carve statues? No, the questions we should be asking are, what is hacking and why do people do it? In the broadest possible terms, hacking is creative problem solving that takes advantage of the properties of things in unexpected ways. So when Galileo used curved glass to magnify the stars, that was a hack. Or when NASA engineers saved Apollo 13 with a book, a plastic bag, and a roll of duct tape, that was a hack. Of course, usually when hacking comes up, we're talking about computer hacking, but the idea is the same. Computer hacking is just creative problem solving that takes advantage of the properties of computers and networks in unexpected ways. For example, phone providers used to use tones and beeps to get their phones to communicate with their networks. What they did not expect was that hackers would figure out that those tones could be imitated with toy whistles found in Captain Crunch cereal boxes, thereby bypassing the need to pay for the call. So why do hackers hack? Many are driven by intellectual curiosity. They want to learn how a system works to discover its quirks and hidden secrets. They are like cave explorers who venture into darkness and see what they can find. Steve Wozniak, one of the founders of Apple, started out like this. Like many hackers, his early explorations inspired him to start tinkering and inventing. Other hackers are like the security forces who want to defend their fortresses of information. They find the chinks in the internet's armor, like the heartbleed bug, and patch them up before they can be used against you. And of course, there are hackers with less than noble intentions. They can be motivated by greed, fame, rebellion, or the desire to hurt others for cheap thrills. These are the hackers that media stories have taught us to fear. Some of them are brilliant minds gone astray, but many of these so-called hackers are just kids who run programs that they don't understand. Others are criminal syndicates that may know more about cheating and robbing people than creative problem solving. There are also hackers who operate in morally gray areas, who might steal information to expose corruption, or violate privacy in the name of national security. They consider what they're doing just and for the greater good, while others see their actions as dishonorable and wrong. But assigning labels of right and wrong or good and bad to hacking is no more productive than pinning those labels to a hammer. It's how and why the hammer is used, to build or to destroy, that matters, and that you must choose for yourself. Hackers, like hammers, are here to stay, whether we like it or not.
As you saw from the video, hacking is an action, and you cannot label it good or bad. It is the way in which it is used that determines the ethics behind it. In this presentation, I will focus on the subject of ethical hacking, which is when companies hire hackers to hack their software or security in order to highlight the system flaws and then correct them. As you can see in this slide, this is where I obtained the ethical standards that I will be using while talking about the subject of ethical hacking. The ethical standards are the following. The hacker should be educated with the information they'll be accessing and dealing with while they are performing the hack, and the hacker must maintain transparency with the client while they are hacking them. While performing the hacker must not go beyond the limits set by their employer, and after performing the hacker must not discuss any information with any other parties other than the employer. These are the consequences that will enforce the ethical standards that I have presented in the last slide. The consequences are the hacker will be charged with time in prison, the hacker will be revoked of the rights to work for companies, the hackers will not be paid, and the hackers will be flagged and they'll be on probation for an allotted amount of time. The ethical implications. Now, the ethical implications are that the hackers will help improve the company's software or network with their services, improving customer service and company information security. Now, this is a result of one of the points in the ethical standard because, as we can remember, One of the points is that the hackers must maintain transparency with the client, and the hacker must not go beyond the limits set by the employer. So by using this ethical standard, yes, there will be customer and company security, since the ethical hacker has to stay within the reach and within the boundaries set by the company. If not, they'll face the consequences that were mentioned earlier. So yes, there is an increase in security. There is also an increase in productivity in the economy, which leads to an increase in productivity in the society because the hacker is getting paid by the company. The information of the customer will be safe from the ethical hacker. Yes, the information will be safe because the ethical standard says that, well, if I hack into your company and I obtain some information while the hack is being made, the ethical standard says that I can't share that information with any other parties except the company and nobody else. And lastly, and probably the most important ethical implication, is that the company will learn potential flaws found in their network, and which increases the education of the facility and the employees, leading to stronger security and stronger software. It's overall good for everybody. Now, the unethical implications. The company may not be transparent with the ethical hacker, since only the hacker must be transparent with them, and this may lead to ambiguity, which can cause hackers to access classified information, which decreases the security of the consumer. Now, for example, let's say Bank of America requires an ethical hacker to hack the accounts found within the bank. By just claiming the accounts, the bank is not being specific with the hacking process. So the bank may want to only to hack the bank accounts that are savings accounts, but since they weren't specific, the ethical hacker may access all the accounts that the bank and some which the bank doesn't want any interference with. So as you can see, the ambiguity of what the company could do in these standards creates this sort of bad notion that the hacker could still receive some information even though these standards are up, because the company itself doesn't have to be specific. And the second thing is that there's no guarantee that the company treats the hacker in an ethical manner and may abuse the restrictions set by the previous ethical standard to avoid paying the hacker or blackmail them, even if the hacker followed the company's instructions. So for example, a company like Apple could tell you to hack their cloud, and then if you successfully do it and you destroy the security of their software just because that was your task, right? Well, Apple could then say, Apple could say that, well, what happened? Why did you do that? They may punish you for doing that, even though that was your task, and they may do this with an unethical thought. They may do this not to pay you or just to threaten your reputation. So all in all, this ethical standard is really good in perspective of the hacker, but it may have some flaws when it comes to the companies.